Welcome back to another tutorial. Today's is going to be on reCaptcha and using it within Flask. It's actually going to be quite universal to other languages as well, and things like Django and stuff like that. Specifically version 3. Version 2, which is this, the classic I click, I'm not a robot, here's my soul kind of one. Where you get the whatever, this one's crosswalks, planes, trains, boats, you name it, whatever it is. But the V3 is obviously the hidden one. So it's a little bit trickier. V2 actually has a library in Flask. V3, I don't believe has any good libraries associated with it. So it's quite simple. I have this form, and so you'll need to know some basic Flask. I'm not going to go through that today. But basically we have this get route, which is our home, which renders a template. We have this user sign up form, which is a post method, and then once it's done, it just redirects to home. HTML, very simple. It's just Bootstrap. Not that many things going on. We have an input for our email. We have an input for our password. This is not a tutorial on how to store passwords. Please don't do this. But when I submit this, we can see we have this post method to sign the user up, which then redirects to our get method. So let's say you're getting a whole bunch of emails about crypto and how to get rich quick schemes and God knows what else is taking up your spam box or your regular email box. So let's get Captcha v3 implemented. So the first things first, you have to basically have a Captcha, but a Captcha account, but there are a few things that we need to do. So the first one, you can come and you can just type in the Captcha docs or the reCaptcha docs, and then there are a couple of things that we need to do. So basically, we need to install this JavaScript on our page, which we will do here. So come in here, install their JavaScript. We need a callback function for the token. Now, it's important that this get element by ID obviously needs to be the exact same as your form ID because it's whatever you're submitting. So I just called mine sign up form. You can call it whatever you would like. And then the third step is you need a button. And the button has to have a few specific features, and this is where they basically get the information from. On the back end. So we'll take this button and we will copy it. As you can see, I have my own button already, right? It's just a classic Bootstrap submit button. So I'm going to take their button and let me move it to its own lines quickly. So let's save that and quickly go to here. We can see we've got a site error key. It looks absolutely horrific. So let's fix this train crash. So the type needs to be submit. So when we click it, it goes. The class has to be this reCaptcha. And then I'm just going to add some Bootstrap stuff so it doesn't look horrific. And then we have this data attribute that is the site key. Now, where do we get these site keys from? So let's quickly save that. Let's go have a look. We can see it doesn't look horrible anymore. All right, so let's call this verify submit. Now we have two different buttons. All right, awesome. So what's going to happen is we need to go get our account. And so you can go to the reCaptcha admin, and we can add our own one. So I'm just going to call this localhost, and you can set up an account. It's free. You choose V3 because this is not a tutorial on V2. Add your domains, whatever your actual domains are. But for the moment, I'm going to add localhost, and I'm going to add 27.0.0.1. Is that too many zeros? Yes. For production, do not add these ones. Only for testing, please. For production, you'll add your own actual ones. So have these variables sorted out. Let's create this quickly. Then I'm given these lovely site key and a secret key. So this site key is used in the HTML, so your users can see it. And we have a secret key, which, as the name implies, is secret. So only you should see this one. So let's copy these. By the way, these will be deleted by the time the video goes up. And let's go here, and I'm just going to say this is my site key. You can store these in environment variables, files, whatever you want to do, AWS Secrets Manager, what have you. Let's call that secret key. Then, so now that we have that, we need to somehow link, we're going back here. So we need to somehow replace this, and because it's Flask, and let's say that you're using server-side rendering, which some of you might be, I'm going to add this as a variable and then get it in my Ginger2 site key. All right, let's go into our home.html, and then in our template here, delete that, and I will add it as a template variable. I'll say site key. Right, now if we save this and we quickly come back to our reCaptcha site, we can now say that we don't have that whole verified as invalid site key, sorry. So we've now got those two variables, and what we can actually see is if we, let me do this quickly. So let's head here and let's print the request.form. All right, so let's print the request.form. So I'm going to get my email, and I'm going to say password. And we can see that the email and password is what have you, right? I'm going to say Kieran, password, verify, submit. We can see that we now get this gCaptcha, reCaptcha response, right? And so this is set, so password. So if I use the verify button, or if I use the submit button without the regular Flask, the regular Bootstrap submit, doesn't have this data key and all of that stuff, right? So let's get rid of this. So now we just have the submit button, which returns us this giant long line of text. So we have no idea what to do with yet. So we now have that. Cool. So it's looking good so far. It'll come together eventually. Okay. So this here is if you want to do some fancy stuff on the front end, but we don't want to do that. So what we want to do is we want to basically verify this response, right? Because we can't do anything with this yet. So let's see what we can actually do. So we can see that for web users, we basically get this post parameter, which is true. We are getting this post parameter coming through. And then what we need to do is we need to basically call their API and say, okay, the user has given me this token. Is this actually verified? And because Google will have a copy of this token, and they'll know if this user's a bot or not. So this is basically the method to hit. So I'm going to copy that. I'm going to go into the app, and I'm going to say, so this is the verify URL. Verify. If I can spell, URL equals verify URL. Cool. So now that we have the verify URL, we can see that what we need to do is make an API request to this verify URL with a method of post, and we need to include a secret and a response variable. So let's do that. So to make this, we can say, we can use the requests module, which you'll have to install. So we go requests.post, we'll come in here, we'll say the URL equals the verify URL. That is it. And let's make it an F string. If you don't know what an F string is, Google it. Come in here. So we've got the verify URL. We are then going to do a question mark, and we're going to say secret. Question mark secret equals, let's just close that off for 1 sec. Now, the secret is going to basically be the request.form, and then I'm going to use the accessor, and then we're going to come here and we're going to find out what it is. So you can also get this off their website, which is it's right here. You can see that's a post parameter. So I'm going to access it. It's going to throw if it's not found. Right. Then we're going to come in here. So that's our secret. So I'm going to add that secret, and then I'm going to say end, and we'll go down here and let's have a look what else they want. I've done it again. This is actually their response, isn't it? Because their secret is a secret key. Right, let's change that quickly. Secret key and response. The response is the, let's call it a secret response, equals the secret response. Awesome. So now I'm going to call this the verify response. And I'm going to say to JSON, because we actually know that their API is going to return it in JSON form. And then let's just print this verify response quickly. So we'll come in here. I'll reload the page for good luck. And I will say password, verify submit. No errors, which is good. We can see that we have this success is true, and we've got a challenge timestamp, we have a host name, we have a score. And so your scores are basically the likelihood that it's a bot. And I think it's 0 to 1. Anything above 0.5 I usually accept, but you can play around with that depending on what you get. A lot of sites will default you to this. Right, so let's put a couple of things in here. So let's say that the verify response is what are we looking at? Success equals false, because you can see the payload here, right? True or false. So let's say if verify response success equals false, and then we're going to use Flask's abort method, and let's just say 401, which is an unauthorized. Now, this is not going to go off, obviously, because I will be verified. But let's say that for some odd reason we've flipped the Boolean and we're going to deny everybody that should go through. We can see that now we get this unauthorized page, right? So that's pretty much how I would do it. Another option would be to verify the score. So you could say if your score is less than, so you could say something like or verify response score is less than 0.5. Something like that, and then you can abort that as well. So there really is a bunch of ways to do it, and you can basically make your own way of doing it and what you kind of want. Another thing to handle would be the fact if the request to the Google API actually fails as well. But yeah, that's basically a very simplified version of how to implement reCaptcha 3 in your code. So if you have any questions, or if you'd like the source code, drop a comment below, and I'm more than happy to go through it. Yeah, awesome. Enjoy a life free of robots. See you in the next one.